Hello and welcome all to another episode of the New York Fishing Podcast. My name is George Skaka, and I will be your host. I'd like to start out by thanking all my friends at NewYorkAngler.com for the fine wishes for my 68th birthday the other day. So thank you all, and I appreciate everyone's support. So as always, there's something always on the horizon. So I do want to mention three separate issues that are on the plate. There's always something going on regarding fisheries regulations. It's always been that way. I'm around this thing 35 years. And it truly, I don't know, it changes. It changes. So, and right now, I'm concerned with what I see coming out of the DEC on this land-based shark fishing regulation. There's also news on the striped bass front, and we have more saltwater fishing license news for you. So for those of you that aren't aware, the state is about ready to get out a survey on how, on what you would like to see them spend the money on that they're going to raise by charging us, for a fishing license. I personally am opposed to it, but I always have been. I kind of just never trust where the money's going to go. But I'm not here to influence you in any way, manner, or form. This is a decision you're going to have to make. The one thing I do ask is that you dig deep into the money and think about the one. I mean, there's quite a few things in there that bother me, but one of the biggest thing is requiring the money from that fund to pay for DEC law enforcement. I don't see why recreational anglers, or anyone for that matter, should pay for any type of enforcement. I want to see triple the enforcement out there. I really do. But I don't want to. Why should we pay for it? They're not just out there checking recreational fishermen. So just please think about that. I'm going to get more into that. And, there's other issues. Boat ramps. Are we the only ones that are using boat ramps? There are some good things in there. I love the idea of a fishing pier. I know I keep saying it, but why are there these gorgeous ocean fishing piers up and down the coast? And here we are in one of the greatest fishing spots of the world with an opportunity to open the eyes of many anglers and give them opportunity to fish off an ocean pier. I don't know why we don't have one. I'm not saying, hey, let's get a license so we can have a pier. But what I am saying is, when I look at the numbers, it's like half of the money is going to go towards enforcement. So, I mean, look, I could be wrong about that. Could be more, could be less. But I guess we'll see as it comes out. But watch for the survey. It's probably going to be out in another week or two. I do know that it's almost in the budget. It's been talked about that much, and they do want it. And I'm afraid that it is going to happen. A lot of people say, well, hey, why don't, you guys should pay, everybody else pays. Well, we do pay. We pay 10% in excess tax for Wallop Bro on everything you buy. You probably don't know that, but when you buy a $200 reel, it's really only $180. You're paying the rest as a tax. So we do pay. Not to mention, we drum up billions and billions of dollars. Oh, look, it sounds like I'm talking you out of it. I guess I kind of am, but I'm not trying to do that. I want you to make sure you look at the survey and then think about it. Think about everything. Is it fair? What is it fair to spend the money on? What's fair? What's important to you? And I'd like to point out, well, I'm going to do that at another time. The other news is striped bass. The striped bass board, it looks like they're going to hold strong with what they have in place now for next year. I mean, this is premature. They haven't said it, but it's been floated. I don't know. Is it just me? But how could we be fishing 1 year class over 2 years? How does that work? You gotta be fishing 2 year classes. That other year class coming up, what was it, 2010 something? That's the one we're gonna be whacking on now. I don't get it. So that's the other thing. But the big issue in my mind right now, and it is a huge issue, is the state recommendations on land-based shark fishing. Now, I got to tell you, I've never done this. I don't know a heck of a lot about it. The one thing I do know is people that do it love it. And when I, see photos, videos, when I hear about it, when I meet the people, I know these people are caring for those fish as well as anyone. So I started looking into this whole thing, and the biggest issue I have is there's no one saying, okay, we're doing this to save this, and we're doing that to save that, and we have evidence that, that there's a bycatch that's happening, or, the fish are floating off dead. I mean, obviously, we're not seeing the fish. We don't see the sharks come floating up on shore. Does that mean anything? I don't know, but if it was that bad, I'm guessing you'd hear something, or see something rather. But when you look at this thing, you take it from a bird's eye view and you look down and you just listen to what they're saying. You can't use a drone to drop a bait. Why is that? Why can't they use a drone? You have to use spinning tackle because you have to cast. You're not going to be casting that thing too far on a Pen 80 or 50. I don't even know what you guys use. You can't drop a bait on a kayak. Why? Why is this? Did the government come down and say, hey, you guys got this huge problem? Got a couple of hundred people that are catching and releasing shark from the beach that are destroying the fishery? While in the meantime, there's miles and miles of long lines killing these sharks every day of the week. So I feel like there's look, again, show me what you're doing. Show me what you're trying to save. Don't tell me that the guy in a boat can use a drone. The guy in a boat can do whatever he wants. The guy in a boat is not going to have a hook restriction, which makes no sense. I listened in on this hearing there was the other night, and I was really excited to see and hear a group of anglers that they obviously were on the same page. They knew each other, but they know the fishery. And, these are the people that are doing it. And, they brought up so many facts. And, look, does it make sense to force them to use light tackle? you're literally trying to reduce the number of sharks they can catch, period. And I hope that's not because of the recent shark attacks, because everyone knows that has nothing to do with it. But you can't help but think that. So as an angler, I'm going to get back to this. We have rights. And first of all, the shark fishery is managed on a federal level. So I don't know why. I know, yes, we could put in regs and this and that, but I don't know why we're doing this. I did a lot of digging, and I did find a study. It wasn't a lot of sharks. And every bull and tiger and some type of brown or whatever it was, sandbar shark, they all lived, every single one of them. The few that died were spinner sharks. Now, that's the only study I could find. Now, this is in Texas, where they're doing it year-round in much warmer waters. So why are we doing this? That's what I want to know. We are recreational fishermen. These guys are out there. It's their passion. They care about the life of the fish more than most people. So why are we going to stop this? And let's think about the guy that can't afford to charter a boat for a couple of $1,000, because that's what it is. Between $1,500 and $2,500 to go shark fishing. Not many people can afford that. So we're going to take this shark opportunity away from these people altogether. Not to mention, a lot of people don't want to go offshore. They'll get seasick. Why are we stopping them from doing this? Why are we forcing a maximum size, on the leader? In Florida, they have a minimum size on the leader. In Florida, they have a minimum size on the hook. Who ever heard of a maximum size on a hook? I've never heard of that. And it just doesn't make sense. It makes you believe that hook is going down and going to gut that fish. But it's almost like they're hoping that small hook won't hook the fish so you don't catch them. That's what I see. I could be wrong, but I see this as an infringement on our rights, recreational fishermen's rights. Who are they to tell us how far we could send a bait? Think about that for a minute. What's going to happen? The next thing they're going to do, they're going to tell you, hey, sorry, no live scanners. I mean, that sonar stuff works too well. You're going to be able to catch too many fish with that. You're not going to be able to use that. I mean, think about it. That's what they're doing. Now, I don't know why they can't sit down and talk to these guys. They claim there are representatives out there in organizations that truly, I'm not trying to knock anybody, but come on, they don't hold meetings. I mean, when we had organizations, we'd have 100 people at a meeting. That's not happening anymore. And yet they're out there and quoted in the documentation as supporting it. Nobody's going to tell you why they support it. Because most of those people that support it, there's a certain amount of surf fishermen that can't stand this shark fishery. We get that, but years ago, you stuck together. That's what you did. But they're not doing that right now. So just think about what they're doing, what they're saying. It's so obvious they don't want you to bring a shark on the beach. Why is that? And isn't there another way? I mean, look, if it is because they don't want to frighten beachgoers, maybe they can work something out. And when there's no lifeguard there, they can fish. People aren't supposed to be in the water anyway. So, look, I have never, ever seen a regulation come out like out of the blue for no reason whatsoever. Federal government's not doing it. Florida does it totally different. They do it year round. I kind of want to go with what they're doing. Why do we think our idea of fighting the fish longer, using the smaller hook, not being able to use a drone, I mean, come on. Why do you think that's going to be better for the shark? It's not. Because the few fish that they are going to get in are going to be so tired and so shot from that fight that they're going to die. And please stop worrying about taking the shark out for a photo, please. Because we all know next we're going to hear you can't take a striped bass out of the water for a picture. That's coming. So I have a guest that I would like you all listen in on. He knows a lot more about this shark fishery, land-based shark fishery than I do. And I heard him the other day. He was very well spoken at the hearing, which, by the way, I wasn't used to, as I go to a lot of these hearings, and oh man, I think these video things are a much better idea. But yeah, he did. He kind of explained a lot of things that I wanted to hear. I'd like to welcome our guest, Anthony Fiorello. He is a surf fisherman who has spent some time targeting sharks along the beach. And I heard him the other night. He was accompanied by a number of folks that brought across some really good points regarding these current regulations that are being proposed. So, Anthony, I'd kind of like to grasp or capture the excitement of this fishery and, how you got involved and where you're at now.
Well, be 54 in about 3 or 4 months, and I have been fishing for now probably close to 50 years. I got my first fish very young in a local lake in Queens, New York, and that really set me off on a lifetime of fishing. And since then, I have fished much of New York, and I have enjoyed this state and what the state has to offer in fishing. And I have really introduced my young sons. We refer to ourselves as the Three Amigo Fish Club, and my 2 sons, 10 and 7, are avid fishermen.
That's great.
And we enjoy it. I really want to pass things along to them, as I think most parents, dads who might be sportsmen like, particularly with the outdoors, this is what we want to do. And, we're well on our way to being handcuffed by the state.
So let me ask you this. So the first time you take your son fishing, and you hook up on a shark and you bring it up on the beach. What was that like? And what was that feeling like? And, I don't know too many kids, that have witnessed that. And I'm curious of to me, this is just a wonderful introductory fishery. And I'm wondering what it was like and what it's like to be as lucky as you to be able to fish with these sons like that.
Well, it's pretty exciting. For one, when you're fishing, and like most shore-based anglers know, there's a little bit of potluck involved. And, you're out there, and on the best days and the best tides, you really don't know what's happening with that bait that's down there. And it is exciting when the fish is within range and it's in a roll or a wave and you can see that fin, and that's when the kids go wild and you'll hear them yell shark instead of stingray. And then the fish comes to the shore, and it's an incredible feeling to see this creature come out of the water, and you have the utmost respect for it. And an instant bond is created between you and the fish. And we are really just get the hook out, get the picture, and get him right back in there where he belongs. It's really an incredible feeling. And my kids, they've done pretty well from the beach. They like their bass, their fluke, but he's gotten a dusky. We got a big surprise, a black tip last week.
Wow.
And they've got loads of sand sharks, to their role. But each and every one of them, it's incredibly exciting.
Yeah. So that's the way I see the fishery. Now, there's new regulations which are being proposed. I noticed that a lot of folks that spoke at the hearing the other night were talking about the Florida educational program, and I am a huge proponent of educating anglers. I truly believe that they want to learn. And since then I looked into it, and it's definitely something New York should have. The other things I looked into, Florida is a year-round shark fishery, right? They've been doing this for a very long time. And when I look at their regs, they're almost like opposite. They have of what's being proposed. They have a 4-foot minimum length on the leader, whereas New York is talking about 1 foot. And also the fact that you can't, drop the bait will force you to use lighter tackle, meaning spinning tackle. So it's hard to gauge what the DEC is trying to gain here. But what would be your take on those proposals?
Well, for one, from the very beginning, in every aspect of our life, personal or professional, education goes a long way. You give a guy a fish, he eats for a day. You teach a guy to fish, he eats for a lifetime. If you teach people and you show them and you instruct them, they feel like they're part of something in a bigger scale. Now, with respect to Florida, I think that they're on the right track. They use heavier gear because they are concerned about the survivability of the fish post-catch.
Right.
What New York is trying to do is to try to lighten the tackle. So I think that the fish doesn't really have a chance to come to shore. And if it does, it's going to be a much longer fight. It's really going to exhaust the fish. I'm not so certain that is going to work. It appears to me, and I'm not the only one, that the greater concern here is the amount of shark sightings. And I think they're trying to correlate that to the few guys that are on the beach, fishing with bunker chunks. We're the ones attracting them. And I think these regs are being put in place to make it nearly impossible to try to catch a shark or be such a deterrent that the average fisherman just says, I'm not even going to bother. And he sticks to fluke and bass. I think the average, I would say that just about everybody that attended the DEC event is aware of that. That's it. It's the elephant in the room that no one really wants to talk about, and it is the shark sightings. And the DEC is under pressure from people up above saying, listen, we got to do something. What can we do? And they're going after the guys on the beach. They're going after the guys. It's sad,
but I kind of agree with you. And the main reason is no one's telling us why they're doing it. No one. Not a single person has said why, explained that. They haven't said they're trying to save fish. I don't know. The one line that scares me is they say they want to be able to make it easier to enforce the regulations. I don't get that. I don't get the whole thing.
I don't get that either. Make it easier to enforce the regulation. It would suggest that they're going to be walking the beach measuring hook sizes. For one, you don't want me. I don't target a particular fish. I, like many people have said, I go out to fish for what the ocean will provide. I think it's wrong that they're trying to do this to us. If I have read, what the DEC wants to do, they clearly stipulate does not affect the folks fishing from a vessel. So, you have a guy in a boat. He has the latest technologies. He can see fish in the water. He has the most equipment because he can store it. He has the greater ability to traverse a bigger area. He's not doing anything to this shark issue that we have, but it is the poor guy on the beach with one pole and one bag of bait. He's the one doing this? I don't think so. I think they're trying to show that they're doing something.
But doing what?
They're trying to say,
tell us what we're doing. Right? So, doing what the heck are we doing? They have no studies. I read one study where the only sharks that were dying were spinner sharks, and it was conducted down in Texas somewhere, and it's the only land-based study I could find. So tell us why you're doing it and what you're trying to achieve and what you're saving, because recreational anglers, they're open to save anything. I mean, that as well as I do. We'll do whatever we have to do, but give us a reason. This, to me, to say you can't use a drone to drop a bait. Well, is it better to drop the bait shorter to bring the shark in closer, or is it better, and it's going to make it harder for you to catch? It's almost like they don't want you to land the fish, and that's because people don't want to see them.
No, they don't want that fish making it to the shore. So the smaller hook size, the lighter tackle, the leader that can most likely break off, the inability to kayak or use a drone, all of those things amount to one thing. That fish is not going to make it to the shore. And the people that are sitting 300 yards down in their Tommy Bahama chairs will all feel a lot better. They don't have to tell us anything. They're going to do what they want to do if we don't put up a fight, and they're going to be able to tell people in a press release, we have changed the fishing regulations in a chance to try to make things better for everybody. They're not going to tell us. They're going to do to us. They're going to tell everybody else that may not be as educated as we are about fishing. They're going to tell them, this is what we have done for you.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what's going to happen. Well, look, I hope it doesn't. I wish we had a couple of legislators on those calls, although they were recorded. And I have reached out to a few people to listen to them, because you need a legislator at this point to step in and say, whoa, what's going on? Let's just put the brakes on for a second and take a look at this thing. But I've seen this happen time and again, and it just seems like it's so far advanced. And look, I'm not trying to knock DEC here, but, they sent us a signal not too long ago when they put in those emergency regs on striped bass. They could have waited and given us, and when I say us, I talk the entire industry, a couple of days, a week, something, not bang, it's over. But it seems, like nobody like Cuomo back in the day, but I tell you what, that guy, he loved fishermen. He was a fisherman. He always took care of us. And now we have the total opposite. And you're going to find out, I think it's next week or the week after, they're going to ask you for a fishing license. So they're going to ask you to pay to not be able to catch those sharks. That's what's coming. Well, it's coming next week. So the survey.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the slot, just to go into the striped bass a little bit, the slot size, or this new slot size we have, that came from up above. That came from the Atlantic States fishery across the board, correct?
Yes, that had to be done.
When you think about that, you say to yourself, at least we're not the only ones. At least it's not New York overstepping its boundaries. At least it's not the New York fishermen alone that are going to save striped bass for the whole country.
Right.
In the case what they have now, the DEC wants to do, it's just us. It's just the few guys in New York that are on the beach. It's just for us.
So
it's
how
not
long do
every
you
other
guys?
state.
How long is your season?
Well, I pretty much go from, I would say, the opening of the season in spring, and I probably fish all the way into October, in November. The kids start getting a little chilly in November. I mean, they're pretty good, but I don't want kids catching colds. But we go well into the fall, and then we wrap it up, and then we take all the tackle out in the middle of the winter and just hold it and just dream about us getting back on the beach there.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're spending on tackle and just like everybody else.
Well, just like everybody else, and the guy in the bait shop is going to feel it when his 300 to 500 guys a month come in and all spend $15 or $20 less.
Well, I've spoken to them. I've spoken to 6 different tackle shop owners on this issue, and nobody gets it. No one gets it.
No.
And it kind of feels like, it's one of these things that are going to ram down our throats. I'm hoping that they don't. And, who knows for sure. But, when you got groups, and I'm not trying to knock anybody because, I know everybody involved in these organizations, but, we become so micro, these groups, that you actually have surf fishermen that are agreeing with this, but in most cases, they're surf fishermen that have never done it before, and they find you getting in the way. So, I understand what's happening. It's like you get, all of a sudden, Libba is in support. I don't believe that they are, by the way. But as far as the coalition, they do. So they are supportive of the rules. Who are they talking to, and who do they represent? I'm not buying anyone represents 5,000 people. I don't buy it.
No, I don't believe they have our best interests at heart.
Yeah. And you know what? Bill Limnicki was a great friend of mine. He's gone. And Willie Young, who started Coalition, he was a good friend of mine. Always met well, these guys. And now we have people sitting on the MRAC committee. And guys, I'm not knocking you, but you're like lifelong freaking politicians. You remind me of the Nancy Pelosi's of the world. You've been around forever. It's time to start listening to the anglers that are on the beach. And, that might be worth a shot. I think I'm going to put something up on our website, mention something later in this podcast, with direct emails to the people on MRAC who will have a huge say in what happens here. And, there's one of them there, Charlie Whittick, who is a good friend of mine. A lot of people, they don't like his, his management style. But I got to wonder if he is in support of this. He's a smart guy, and anyone knows lighter tackle, right? Smaller hook is going to result in more dead sharks. It's just a fact.
That's correct.
So, well, look, I'm sorry for what you guys are going through. Next time, maybe you need to somehow be better organized, but I wouldn't give up yet. And
no, I'm not giving up. If you put anything on that, if you list anything, I'll be making phone calls of my own, to try to do whatever I can do. I don't want to see it rubber stamped without a fight.
Well, I appreciate that, because a lot of people, they don't want to fight. And sometimes you have to. And you know what? It's not a fight. Maybe it's just an education thing. I think, I know I'm taken by surprise by the amount of support that you guys are getting, considering the people that are opposed to it, that support it. So, I think you got a shot, an outside shot. But I need someone to say, well, we're killing it. They can't say it. They can't say it because it's not happening. It's all about
I asked repeatedly. Yeah, I've asked repeatedly for the data. I need the data to support your proposals, and it just falls on deaf ears over and over. I've called the DC a dozen times. Where's the data? Where is the data? Where's the data? We don't have the data. Just that's it. No data.
Yeah.
They're doing this for the people on the beach. They're not doing it for anybody else. It's the elephant in the room, the shark sightings, the shark sightings, the shark sightings. Oh, well, what do we got? We got a few hundred anglers. They're fishing for sharks. They're bringing them in. The sharks are there. The bait is there. We're seeing more black tips. We're seeing cobia. I got some cobia in the Back Bay last year.
Nice.
The fish are there.
Yeah.
The fish are there.
And you know what?
The bait is certainly there, and the water is cleaner. You're talking to a person who has spent 26 years cleaning water in one of the biggest wastewater treatment plants in New York. The water is clean. We're doing everything, and everybody is the recipient of this. You got people, enjoying the water from a number of different ways, from the beach, from the boat, scuba, a lot of water-based recreational sports. And the one guy that pays the price is the guy that schleps out his beach cart onto the beach. He's the guy that has to pay for it. That's not fair.
No, it is not. And hopefully we've got DEC listening, and they'll get that you're not just speaking for yourself. I know you had a bunch of friends, and you guys probably all know each other. Kind of like tuna fishermen that are sharing things, and you have your little group there. But it doesn't take that many people, but you got to be vocal and you got to plug in to the right people. So we'll be in touch. I have your number now. Okay. You have my number now. And I really appreciate you coming on, because I wanted that.
Thank you.
I wanted that side of it. And believe me, it's my pleasure. I've been doing this for 35 years. So it's been, and let me tell you, we've had a lot of close wins, but so many losses. But we had 3 big wins, right? One was maximum 20 fish, blackfish limit commercial. That's still holding tight. And the striped bass limit, they are not allowed to take commercially over 1 million pounds. And the bunker bill, which we passed. So things can get done because our legislators listen. So we're going to get them involved.
You put that information out there, and I'm sure myself and a lot of other people, we'll make the necessary calls. They're going to hear us. We're going to go down with the best fight possible. But This is, everybody needs to know that this is really the beginning of the end for shore-based fishermen. Because what they want to do is not going to work. And then they're going to just keep clamping down further and further until it's over.
Yeah. Sadly, I agree, and there's no need for it. There's got to be a way. Like you said, maybe, I mean, look, I don't know anything about it, but maybe you limit it to a night fishery or something, or, hours when people are not on the beach.
Yeah, you can go out there and fish and use the equipment that you're accustomed to using, but you got to use it when the lifeguards are off duty.
Right.
That's it. Because when the lifeguards are off duty, you shouldn't be in that water anyway.
Right. That's true.
So when the lifeguards are there, you're mandated to use a certain hook size and do as the mandate says. But once those lifeguards are not there, you can fish a little bit more freely. They should try something before just ramming it down our throat, because it is not going to work, and you're going to give people a false sense of security by doing this. And then they're going to go in that water, and if there is an interaction with a shark, it's not going to have anything to do with anybody, just the way it doesn't have to do with us now.
Right.
You're mandating us. You're hurting us, you're depriving us, you're regulating us, and at the same time, you're selling a false sense of security to the beachgoer about sharks.
Well, I'll give you an example of that. The woman who got bit, 2 days ago in Rockaway? Yep. There's no surf fishermen there. There's nobody sharking there. None, not a single person. None. I already checked that. There are no shark fishermen there.
I looked at that too. I was wondering, and some feedback we got, people exchanging information afterwards. There weren't any fishermen anywhere.
No.
So if you're doing this to us just to tell everybody it's safe to go into the water, that's not right. You can go into the water, be mindful of your lifeguards, follow what the flags say. But if you see me 100 yards down, I'm not doing anything to you. I'm just minding my business, trying to have a good time with my kids.
Exactly. And enjoy we live on an island. enjoy our coast, people. That's how I feel. You pay all this money to live here. That's what it's all about.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, Anthony, great speaking with you. We will be in touch. And,
thank you.
I wish you nothing but the best.
You too, my friend. Be well. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yes, thank you. Well, that wraps up another episode of the New York Fishing Podcast. Please be sure to check off that subscribe button so this way, you're notified each time that a new episode comes out. Also, be sure to stop by nyangler.com. We have many real good Sharpie anglers that are willing to help and assist in any questions you may have about fishing here in New York. Again, thank you all for joining. And until next time, tight lines all.